What's up, Nick? We live, man.
That's good. Good to be
All
here.
right, all right. We're back on the Hard Earned Knowledge podcast. You know why I call it that?
What's that?
If you read the book Think and Grow Rich, it says in the book, people of a certain age will gladly give away their hard earned knowledge. It actually says hard won, but it's hard to spell that. So hard earned knowledge is
Harder
better.
is better. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I feel like, a person of your stature with 20 something years doing what you're doing and then transition into this, you're willing to give this information away to the next guy too, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about this. So if you're joining us today or watching our replay, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Hard Earned Knowledge Podcast. I am Ronnie Haskins. Today we have Nick Gaston, a 20-year Navy Chief Petty Officer, who in about 100 days is going to be transitioning from his military career into becoming a full-time entrepreneur and running his business, which is Sawdust and Slingers. So he's going to tell us all about that business today. And then we're going to ask him a few questions about his journey. And if you have questions, put it in the comments. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. So what's up, man? Thanks for joining me.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
So awesome to have you.
Yep. Good to be here.
So 20 years. How's it feel coming up on the end of the road here?
It's gone fast, and it seems eclipsing that 100-day mark down to double digits is making it real. It's not seemed real. It's always been a distance date that's down the road, and now it's like less than 100 days. It's here.
You are
Let's go.
Officially a short timer.
That is very true.
Oh my goodness, man. So you joined the Navy 20 years ago, so that would have been 2003?
2004 January.
2004
right
January. Okay. And so I know you've been an entrepreneur for a while building your business, but when did you get this idea that you wanted to do something more when you got out, when you transitioned out? What were you thinking about during this journey?
I would say it was probably about 10 years ago, because just always having been somebody forward leaning, forward planning, looking and saying, what am I going to do? Because 10 years is going to go by fast. So 10 years has flown by. So that got me into the thing saying, what do I want to do with myself afterwards? And having been part of something that gives you an opportunity to serve greater than yourself, how can I continue to do that, but in a different path?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that spurned from, is like, let me get that introspective now to really set myself up for the future.
Right. It's funny, as you said, 10 years is going to go by fast. And I think that when we're younger, we really take that for granted.
Absolutely.
It's like, man, 10 years is like bat of the eye.
Snap.
My kid's 16 now, and it's like, I wish he was 6.
Yeah.
Love you, Jude. And you, Brenny. Yeah, she's 13. Yeah. So how many kids do you have?
I have one daughter. She's
one daughter.
15.
15.
Yeah, Belle.
So that's gone by quick, right?
It has gone by amazingly fast.
It sounds like a cliche. All the old people are like, hey, it goes quick. How many times did people tell you that when you were raising your kids?
Yeah, but thinking about in a month she'll have her driver's license.
Right. Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling to think that that's the case.
Yeah, mine is driving. It's mind-boggling. So great intro. So listen, guys, we got some questions for him. 10 years ago, then, how did you decide and start down this path into this business, Sawdust and Slingers?
So
tell them what it is first.
Sawdust and Slingers is a laser engraving business that we specialize in custom, one-of-a-kind, truly the challenge of bringing something that doesn't exist from a vision in somebody's head into reality is one of the funnest things. It's always the makes those hard projects worthwhile when it gets to the end, and you're like, that turned out way better than anybody could have envisioned, because of what it is and the learning along the way. So it's named after Sawdust and Slingers. Sawdust, obviously, when you're doing woodworking, you're going to create some dust. But we rescued an English Mastiff, and she became the best friend, the key to the family. Everybody, just gravitated towards her, and she stayed in the shop with me. She would get covered in sawdust, and if you have a big dog, Great Dane, Saint Bernard, those type, they drool. those are slingers and they go everywhere. So it's kind of one of the big joys of our life that kind of spurned on. And this is one of the ways we keep her namesake out there. We keep her alive, even though she's gone.
We'll come back to the pictures on the website in a little bit so we can talk about the art that you create for people. But yeah, thanks for sharing this. So he's talking about the slingers. I don't have a big dog, but they drool a lot and they sling and it flies all over the place. And your place is always covered in sawdust.
Yep.
Sawdust and Slingers was born about a decade ago.
Yep.
So I like that story. So, did you start this for a reason? Like everybody makes all the money in the world in the military, right?
No. So we, young military couple needing furniture, and I looked around at all the places that existed and was like, I could build better than that for far cheaper than that. So, I started a $50 DIY project with about $1,000 worth of tools. Now I started with the circular saw and started building our entryway table, bed frame, those type of things. And then one day somebody was like, hey, have you ever thought about selling any of that stuff? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, I'd buy something from you if you made it. And I was like, I can't believe somebody wants to pay me to make something for them. And then it just grew from there.
Wow.
So
kind of like when I was a barber in the barracks.
Yeah. You start becoming a barber by, necessity.
$7 a head back then. Waking me up on Saturday morning. So I never parlayed it into a career, but I cut a lot of hair.
But you could have easily. At that point, it's an opportunity that existed, and it was like, let's try this.
Yeah.
And let's see how we can bring it on, and how can we do with this, and where can this take us, kind of thing. So that's where it started.
The thing about 10 years, right? 10 years ago, you've been working on this, and I'm assuming you learned a lot about equipment, tools.
Absolutely.
Like I've actually been to his studio and been down into the place where he creates all of this magic. And you were telling me about the differences in the different machinery that you have. So can you share a little bit with us about that? It's not just, so this is not just sawdust, everyone's, so anybody can do this. Yeah. Okay. Anybody probably could do it, but it comes with a level of skill that he's developed over 10 years.
It is we have 3 main laser engravers that we have, and they range in capability and size. And I go all the way from my budget one that's kind of a prototype laser. If I need to generate something up real fast and figure it out, that's the one I'm going to go to, because it's the cheapest to maintain, the cheapest to operate, and it if I can produce exceptional on it, if I up it to the next level, it's just going to get better and better and better. And then one that is a fiber galvo type that is more of your inorganics, metals, hard materials, small, very fast. And I showed it when you came over.
Yeah.
Like you can project, and it's fast enough that you can actually see it tracing out the image onto the material, which is always one of the greatest things to show somebody, because they see exactly where it's going to go, exactly what it's going to look like in that moment. And then we have a big Thunder Nova 51 100 watt.
Is that the one in the garage?
That's the big one in the garage.
Okay.
It's about 1,000 pounds. It is a truly industrial machine that I always used to say, growing and building, everything earned its replacement. And that is truly one machine that I have that will not be replaced. It will be being on its companion. It's going to bring the next one on. It's got a permanent place.
It's like a dot matrix printer.
It's a family member, realistically.
It's that solid.
It's that solid. It's I've had it for about 3.5 years now, and I'm still running on the original equipment that it came with. The original optics, the original everything, because the company did their due diligence in building it, speccing it. It's just an amazing piece of equipment.
So this is the knowledge for anybody trying to get into this industry. That's what you had to learn, right?
Yes.
But that's the machine that you would pick.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
It's one of those ones that it's kind of getting into that realm of, after that, are there machines that are quote unquote better than it? Yes, there's relative, but what's the price that you're going to pay for? If you're looking for that economical workhorse that every day you're going to willingly know that, you're not going to be worried that is it going to break today? Is it going to do what it needs to? And is the customer support behind it? And so that's one of the
huge.
biggest one is hands down. They have been rock solid. Any questions that I've had, I had one fan that sort of started making a noise. It wasn't anything detrimental to the machine. They overnighted it. Next day air dropped 2 of them right off of my doorstep.
Is this the machine they asked you to train people on?
No, that's the smaller one.
Okay.
But they all sort of use the same language. So once you learn one, it's easy to replicate it onto a bigger level.
All right.
That's kind of one of those things of using smaller, is the proof into the industry. Like that was one thing with my wife. She was like, I want to make sure that you can do this before we sink a lot of money into something that we might be left with sitting in the house.
It's a family decision then.
It's a family decision that,
Let me shut this door. I keep forgetting to do this one. So you and your wife discussed this. She wanted to make sure you were good at it.
Yeah.
Before you kept sinking money into it.
We are a perfect balance. Is I'm the person who has the big vision board, the drive, the dream to go. I'll fly, I'll go, I'll make decisions. There's been conversations where I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, you already have done what you're about to ask me, haven't you? And I'm like, to a point, yes, but not all the way.
I like your buy-in.
She is the easier one, the more methodical one, the one who thinks about and wants to make sure, and which has actually made me better because I can explain decisions, and it's helped me when dealing with customers as well, is being able to explain why we should go this direction versus this direction with what they're wanting done based on their needs, their desires, their wants, and saying, I get where you're wanting to go, but I think you're going to get a better bang for your buck here than we're going to do here. I'm willing to do it for you, but I think this is a better decision for you in the long run. And sometimes that's me telling them to go with another industry,
right?
Another person who might be better suited and more economical for them.
You've learned that too. I mean, it's not every deal is for you.
No.
So it's better just to give people what they need and let them know and let them go.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I love that. So let's go back to the questions here. One of the first things, when you first started, what were some of the major challenges you faced?
For one is the capability is when somebody asked me, hey, I would like you to build a cutting board for me. Can you personalize it for me? Well, I had a wood burning pen and, somewhat of a talent in being able to draw, but what my vision in my head to what my fingers can produce with a pencil or a pen or a wood burning pen they weren't there.
Okay.
And so it's being able to meet customers' expectations and also speed and efficiency. And then the largest one is being known. Everybody knows somebody who builds something and can do it, but is it of quality that everybody will be happily to show?
Yeah.
And earning a name, earning that you are that person that you want to go to, that when you go, there's no questions about it. You're not going to be left alone. And without having any real resume portfolio behind you, just saying, give me an opportunity. That was the hardest.
Building that reputation?
Just building reputation. And the business has moved several times.
That's a challenge. Like, what city did you start in? You remember the original city?
It was Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Okay, so you've been bouncing around the military, building this business, and
so
you're getting known in that town, and you're going to another town.
About the time when I always say is that teetering, that point where you're like, I know I'm at the top right now. I just need to clear the summit and go down. And then it's like, hey, nope, by the way, you got to go here. And somebody calls you up and they're like, 3 or 4 weeks later after you've moved on, and they're like, hey, can you make this for me? And you're like, I don't live near you anymore. I would happily take care of you, but what you're probably looking for is probably on a much tighter time frame than what I can provide you.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to want to have to deal with the shipping and all of those things that are going to come into play with it, because there's so many local inside there that can take care of you and do what you need in a better time period. They won't do it better, but they'll serve your needs better.
Yeah, and you'll get a better, quicker result, and hopefully be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's some major challenges, man. The moving thing. I have never experienced that one in my life.
Well, it was one of the ones with coming to Colorado, was the actual sit down and having that time to think and say, am I going to do this? Do I want to, with the education I've learned, do I want to jump through some of the same hoops that I've already had to jump through? And it took about a month and a half, and it was like, yeah. And it just really took the first customer to be like, I want you to make something for me. And it was like, okay, there's the energy, there's the drive, and it kind of just helped grow it there.
You must have learned a lot in those moves about, what you said was building up that network and having people know who you are mattered a lot. And so, guys, if you listen to this, so he joined my business networking international group, BNI. So for those of you who know what BNI is, but like you joined, but almost a year ago.
It'll be a year in December.
So obviously you figured out this networking thing was a big deal.
Absolutely.
And you needed to get your name out there.
Absolutely.
And so you sought us out, or did you get invited?
So I went when the Navy gave me the choice of where I wanted to go. They said San Diego or Colorado Springs. Those were the choices. And the first thing I did is I went to the Small Business Administration and Small Business Development Center to see the appetite for a small business, because if the community doesn't have an appetite for it, it's sort of hard. You can do it, but it's a monumental task at that point. And so I saw the Pike Peak Small Business Development Center, and it was like, let's see. And they had like 47 consultants at that time. And I was working with 3 guys in Louisiana. And I was like, all right, there are all kinds of different industry experts. And I was like, that tells me there is a desire and a support for making small businesses work.
Yeah, it's very good insight, man. Like, I don't think about it.
No,
but it's a huge deal here in this town.
Yeah, and and that was one of the things, having done all that, knowing I can build the best product, but if I don't know anybody,
doesn't matter.
It's going to go right on past me and not worry about it. So I asked them, how can I meet people? And they gave me a couple groups around I circled one, which I met a member of our chapter and said, "How do you want to come here?"
Yeah.
And said, yeah. And as soon as I walked in the door, the vibe, the energy that was in there was like, these are people I want to surround myself with, because they're going to make me better.
Well, I feel like we got the better end of the stick because we got you.
So,
your energy is really good. So that's a great story. But if you're telling the next person in the military, one of your buddies, this is, I want to do, like, these are the lessons you would teach them. It's like, nobody's going to do it for you, and you got to go out there and build it. But that network will take you a long way.
Absolutely.
All right. So now, are you big into self-improvement and trying to learn as much as you can?
I do. And one of the things I always tell people is, and my wife will attest to this, is if you stick me in a classroom and try to teach me something, unless I can apply it, I'm really probably going to be your worst student in the world, because I like to consume knowledge, but knowledge that I can apply.
I feel you on
that one. So a book, The 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah.
Is
one of my
is one of my favorite books, because it teaches you of for me it's a real big perspective one. Is everybody says work, when you find something you work, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I said, no, if you find something you love, you'll work every day, hard as everything, because that's
a good point.
Yours. But the 4-Hour Workweek helped me realize, even though I have that drive to do it all the time, I have to take time to do it the most efficient way.
Yeah.
Can I do it? Because if you're spending countless hours on one product, you might not be doing the best for the business, but you're doing the best for that customer. And it's a hard balance to, strike sometimes. Right. And that book just helps me remember, hey, if you can do this, run the website from a beach, can you do that?
Right.
Why aren't you trying to work to that way versus working from your couch 2:00 in the morning, that kind of thing.
You know, it's a real point. There were times where I was resistant to the technology.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you this point, like auction cars, right? I used to physically drive to the auction and get in the car and call you and say, Nick, I'm in the car. This is great. Like, cause like you want to work on that piece over and over and over again. Ronnie, I got it perfect. Yeah. That's what I did with the cars. I would drive all the way to Denver, which is like an hour and a half, get in the car, call you, and talk about the car. They started bringing out condition reports and pictures and all of these things. Like, it sounds like, I mean, all right, it sounds like it was ancient history, right? But you get what I'm saying. Like, so I was like, I don't want to do that. My clients want me to get in the car and check it and smell it and touch it. Even though it tells me what the odor's in the car and the technology and these types of things, it was so inefficient. And then I realized one day I'm probably going to die on this highway because I went up and down that highway every week. Yeah. Oh man, I was so resistant to that, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think it's a little bit of the control is because it's you. If you have to talk to a customer, you're not giving them somebody else's opinion of it. You're telling them, I have personally sat in this. I have personally seen it. I know what it is. And that's hard is, is saying, but that's a reputation that I think now, after a while, you can build because your customers trust you that if it's not right, you're probably going to be like, hey, I know this is not what you want to hear. That deal's not right.
Yeah.
Like that car's not right.
That's what it came down to.
And that's the same thing. Like I have a standard of like, if I won't hang it on my wall, if I won't show it off to people, I'm probably not going to let it leave my hands and into you because, but that's a strive because, I can spend 80% of my time on what 20% of my customers are going to notice. And one of the big ones that changed for me was perfectionism, striving to be perfect. Yeah. And somebody said, listen, I'm not looking for perfection by coming to you. I'm looking for quality and good. If there's a defect, as you claim into it, it just shows me that it's made by a person. It has your touch on it. Mm-hmm. And I can sit there and say it. It's unique. It's mine. Nobody else has that.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so it didn't lower my quality. It just meant sometimes I have to look at something and go, the material I'm working with is going to be this way. This is in I need to steer the customer away from that material going, I know this is what you're asking for, but I know by the end result, it's not going to be what we're going to want. And I'm going to put all this work in it and you're going to see it. And I want you to fall in love with it the next day, and the next day, not immediately happy with it. And then the next day you're seeing it because some of these things are going to be in your house for
a long
years,
time,
outlive you. And if you're looking at it and it doesn't bring you joy, you're like, man, could have been better. Could have been better.
That's not a good place to be.
And that's negative energy that's in your space now. And that's just not good for anybody. And that's not good for my name who's going, yeah, that's good. No, I want people to show off what I've done.
I got this from Gaston.
I've been proud. I'm happy for that.
Hey, let's take a pause so we don't let's show some of your website stuff. So like we've got, hang on, back to the website. So this is the shop page. And if you mouse over these pictures, there's a doggy. Can you tell us about the picture there? Is this a picture you took?
So that is a picture a customer supplied. They wanted these for an anniversary and they sent 4 photos and we used Photoshop and edited them and created that. And that's actually on a black ceramic tile.
Wow.
So that's, we engraved, normally you would engrave the darks onto the substrate, but that's actually engraving the light. That's why all the white, because the black is not the laser, which normally the laser would go in shades of black, but that's actually the white. So it's created a negative and brought out the white onto it. So everything that you see that's black there is actually the tile itself. Everything else is from the photo.
That's impressive. Let's scroll down a little bit and look at this stuff. So you've got, what's this punch today? Is that wood?
That is wood. That's a 30-inch wood circle, wood round that we engraved with that phrase for somebody. I have one that hangs up in there, and it kind of just is a motivational thing to say,
Sure.
make today yours.
Yeah, go own it.
Go own it.
Let's scroll down here. So we've got knives.
Yep, that's a Kershaw knife that we've done some scroll work not only on the blade but on the handle. Again, more of a black substrate with adding white to it to bring out that design.
That's impressive. Now, this is probably one of the most popular pages because there's knives
Mm-hmm.
and there's pet bowls. I like the pet bowls, man. I might want to inquire into this. We've been using some really old pet bowls for my dogs.
We've had fun with those. We've done a couple of them for customers, and one that I engraved on the inside of it, it said, water for dog, if empty, please refill me, or for short people with questionable decisions. So, and that was in the inside of the bowl. So it's truly, that whole bowl is engravable to be, personalized for there. There's multiple ways.
Are these bowls that like hold cold and hot? Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
They're polar bowls, so they are rated, to keep the water cool. They're vacuum insulated like most other ones out there.
Not bad. So what's this on the left?
So that is a cutting board that we did. That's made out of Paduke, canary, and maple.
Oh, that's a cutting board. Okay.
That's a cutting board that we designed for someone and then delivered that off to them. That was 24 by 20.
And then on the right side is you engraved the Gentleman Jack.
Yep, for Father's Day, engraved onto glass, and that was a gift for Father's Day.
I've seen one of these firsthand. You brought to the BNI group.
Yep.
And then you also do these. What are these called? Cooler?
The tumblers.
Tumblers. Okay.
We have 30-ounce and 20-ounce ones to do that. And one of the things that we've done with them is there's brands out there. These ones are one of our preferred ones because there's no brand marking on them.
Mm-hmm.
So 100% of
it's your brand
is yours.
Got it.
It's your image, your thing. We can do whatever you want on it. And we've tested them to. They're about 1% away from the other large name brands out there in keeping stuff hot or stuff cold. I've had customers who have told me they go to bed making a cup of tea in this because they know throughout the night when they wake up, they'll still wake up and their tea is warm.
Nice.
Sometimes they said it's too hot because it keeps it so well insulated that immediately you can't drink it. You have to let it sit for a couple hours to bring it down to a temperature that. And I can attest to it because I drink out of one almost every single day. It keeps my cold and my hot. Does what it's supposed to.
Got it. And is this just like a larger bowl here?
That is a larger bowl. So there's 18, 32, and 64.
Okay. I don't know what we'd need, but I'll be looking.
You'd probably be about an 18, I think, with the dog that you have. That would probably be. It depends. Something learned about out here is in Colorado is as it's dry, dogs and cats like to drink a lot more water. So it depends on how many times you want to fill that water bowl up or how big of a mess you want to potentially deal with. That's kind of what I say is how many times are you filling your dog bowl up? If you only have a little one, you might want to go with a bigger one or deeper because then you can pour more water in it, but not as high. So you might not get as much splash on the floor.
We actually have one of those things is up, it's elevated, and then the water goes back down. Yeah. And it's interesting. So you do shirts too, but this is called
DTG.
Direct to
Garment.
Right.
So basically a printer that goes right onto a shirt.
Interesting. You do this too. Wow. So, there's some more DTG.
Yeah.
Sawdust and Slinger.
So that one right there is kind of a custom one is reach out to us and we can bring your idea. And that shirt, that Slinging in Colorado was kind of our way of announcing we're here.
Right on.
We're not just, and that's another reason why we chose Colorado Springs is because we were looking to grow into a community after so many years of moving and all that. We wanted to go someplace where we could become part of the community, not just a transient who's only going to be there. We want to put a foothold into the community.
Gotcha.
And be able to give back, do things, where we want a lot. We have great big goals. One of those goals is to give back to the community.
Nice.
give back to the animal rescue, those type of things that have become a passion of ours.
That's great, man. I like your story a lot. Looks like we got a commenter saying, how do I become a great auto broker? Well, I'll get back to you with a direct message later. GDTV, not sure what that is. I think it's from YouTube. Thank you for joining us. We will talk to you about the auto broker stuff at another time. So let's go into the next entrepreneur question. What do you love most about being an entrepreneur? I mean, I know you're still in the military, but you're 100 days away. It's real.
Yeah, it's very real. For me, it's that big vision of being able to. This is mine. It's mine. It is. Its success, its failures is mine, and they can be monumental. Its successes, it's the 99 attaboys, the one oops that everybody remembers. Now that's even more real because it's the 99 attaboys don't matter. It's that one oops. So it's that pressure. There's a constant need to improve and worry in aspects of everything. So it's just that challenge. It is every day. I wake up going, all right, so what's today going to hold? How is today going to work? How can I get better? What am I not doing for a customer? What can I do better for them?
Yeah.
Those are the fun things. So it's always a challenge. And then the community is, there's entrepreneurs everywhere, and I get to walk into a group with them every week. And so I've learned so much from other people who do things and who are older than me, and I'm going, man, you're driving and you're 30 plus years older than me.
Yeah,
I got it, because that vision of, man, retirement, what's that going to look like?
That's funny. They give him a lot of crap in our group.
Yeah.
I took him aside. I said, I'm looking up to you.
Oh no,
because dang it, I don't want to be that old dude that's not doing anything. I mean, you know how much it takes for him to get up and run. We're talking about a specific guy, but this guy's.
But it's just seeing those because. Everybody has a vision of what success looks like.
Yeah.
And some people, they haven't ever experienced that in another way. But when you meet other people who are doing something and you're like, you're running circles around me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the limit of what
There's another guy in the group. How many CEUs you do this week? It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, the old guy did.
Yeah. So
1,000 of them. It's like, what are you doing? But you're right. Looking up to these older people, it's like, man, it gives you inspiration to go, well, I don't have to just put this down and lay down. And it also comes down to, don't you think it comes down to what makes you happy?
Yeah.
What's success look like to you? It doesn't have to be a ton of money. It doesn't have to be any of that stuff. But at some point, you're going to have to figure out what makes you happy, man.
It's those moments of, when you can have a bad day and a customer, I had one this morning, I engraved one cup for somebody, one cup. And they were like, some places won't even touch me because it's just one cup.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it, but it works. I can make it work. Told me my husband loved the cup. And it was like, that's 8:00 this morning. That's the start of the day.
Yeah.
That's that drive when, or one of my most favorite things that I've ever done was a mom stopped by a booth that I was doing a vendor event at and saw a cutting board and said, hey, can you engrave on this? And I said, absolutely. What do you want? And she's like, well, I have a recipe that is my daughter's favorite cookie recipe. Well, I said, absolutely. And got to talking to her. She said, okay, I'll be back. And she went home, came back. And how many times you get told, oh, yeah, I'll be back. And you're like, oh, yeah, whatever. So you get a little cynical about it. You're like, nah, that person's not coming back. She came back, 30 minutes left in the day of the event, and shows me this recipe and says, we just lost my husband, and I'm probably not going to be around much longer. So this is a gift I want to give to her before I'm gone. Immediately, how can you do anything less than the absolute best? Because this is for her. This is for her daughter. This is for her
It's a legacy item.
It's a legacy item. And so we got to go home and sit there and then reading it. The recipe wasn't just, milk, egg, sugar. It was, honey, these are your favorite cookies.
Aww.
And one day I won't be around to make them with you, but I always want you to have the recipe. It's like, it's a punch in the face, a hit in the gut every single time you read it. I could still read it today and it'll just instantly hit. And that woman hasn't seen me in probably 3+ years, but I remember her.
I know those recipes matter too because my wife has one from her grandmother that she makes every year, and then her father, which was his mom, gets the cookies. Yeah. It's always a big deal.
Yeah. So it's just one of those ones to be trusted with that level of care to somebody is just
so it lights you up.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I absolutely love that about it. That is just and so if I wasn't doing entrepreneurial stuff, I would have never met her. I would have never had that. And I know how much joy it brought to her. I know how much joy it brought just by talking to her. But she doesn't know how much it meant to me. Mm-hmm. And that's the cool part.
That's okay, though. It's yours.
Yeah, that's mine.
Like you said, it's all yours. This is something
that's the fuel that goes in the tank to go, I just need one of those.
And this answer is going to be different for everybody, but I love that answer and I'm trying to resonate with it. I think that's amazing. I'm glad that you get that feeling. All right, let's see what the next question is. So tell us your favorite success story.
So that actually is here in.
Was that one that we just told it?
No. Okay. That is one. They are all over the place. It is it's one that was out of challenges, and because it made me grow and made me learn. So I had somebody who contacted me. I lived in San Diego, and that was the second place after Jacksonville. So we moved, and now I'm in Louisiana, and I have a customer who reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I have this large Samoan thing that I want to have carved out, but nobody here is willing to touch it because it's such a challenge." And I asked him, "How big do you want it?" Going through all the details. Build it. It's 36 inches in diameter. It's huge. And so get there and mail it off and done. Meet the timeline, do all the stuff. Had a lot of night time, learned a lot in the design. Well, time goes by, and one of the things, anytime I ship something off, the customer's probably watching the tracking number, but probably not as much as I am.
Yeah.
I'm watching. I have the tracking numbers programmed everywhere.
We do that with title work. Yeah.
They're reloaded. I'm seeing where it is. And I'm seeing it, and finally it goes into one place, and then it just disappears. The tracking just is gone. No. I'm like, what is it? So I'm on the phone with the shipper, like, hey, where is this? What's going on? They're not telling me anything, and I reach out to the customer, and I'm like, hey, something's going on. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to try to find out where this is gone, but I have a plan in case it doesn't make it. And so after a week of bouncing around trying to find this, I said, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to remake it. I'm going to get it to you soon. So I sit there, rebuild, this thing from scratch, put it in the box, use a different shipping company this time because I've been burned once. I'm going to go another way. It makes it, and they love it. They're happy. Well, the next day,
they get
the other one shows up, and it went into a holding because it was misclassified, is what they said, and they were just waiting until somebody called, and it took probably about 24 hours of calling total to get to somebody who actually cared about their job, and they were like, "What do you want us to do with this one?" And I said, "You have family; it has your family name on it.
Yeah,
you now have a gift." To give somebody else. And so I learned a lot about shipping. I made a customer happy. I learned process improvement because the timeline that I had for the previous one was not going to work to keep the customer happy. So there was a lot of late nights, early mornings, painstaking over this one, but they were happy, and they've continued to be a customer.
Nice.
They're still in California. I moved to Colorado. They are a customer who I have as a customer for life.
Well, what you guys got to understand, let's take a pause. So like he can do one-off things like tumblers and dog bowls, stuff like that. How big of jobs can you handle? I know you've done some military stuff.
So the largest job that we have yet was 418 planks.
The retirement party?
They were for plank owners for a local command. The first people to sit in that job, in that command. They had another vendor who was doing the work before, but the results were hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
Some looked good, others didn't. And so they came to me and asked me, could I do it? And at the time when I said, I'm sure I can, how many do you need? And they were like, we still have 418 that are outstanding. And it was like, okay, that's a big job. And they were like, how long will that take you? And I said, light in 2 weeks, high in 3 weeks. And they were like, okay, we want to go with you.
Okay.
And so we did, 418. It was rinse, repeat, set the jig up, and just go. A lot of editing, a lot of QA, making sure everything is lined up, everything is where it's supposed to be. Even we had some that when they came out, they were questionable, and it was like, would I accept that if it was mine? No, rerun it, do it again. Unless it's good, it's not going out.
Right.
Like if I'm not going to be happy to see that pop up in somebody's desk, somebody's house, it's not going. So
400 pieces.
400.
That's a lot. So like, is that your goal to scale up to where you can do that and have teams? And...
Yeah, I would love to have the ability to have my own shop, have people who are working for me. My kind of thing is I want to have a small team who is dedicated so I can take care of them and we can grow something together.
If you had that team, though, you could still focus on those one-offs and be the artist you really like to be.
That would be where I'll always have a hand in production just because
you love it.
That's me, the creativity that I can get out of it. But I would love to be able to hunt those projects on the same time of the 400 plus projects. Of here's what's paying the daily bills, but this is the passion project.
It fills you up.
This is the one that, like somebody walks by and goes, I know who did that.
Right.
Like that's
a Gaston?
Yeah, like that's
I'm gonna own a Gaston soon.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got a Gaston on the way.
Yep. And that's a numbered piece because there's only so many of those I have been able to build. So it's a numbered piece.
That's gonna be awesome.
So it is something that you can go, that's early. That I know when that was created. I know where in the lineage it
This
goes.
Before he got real big, dude. Like you could still afford this back then. All right, let's see here. So what are your next 5 business moves? You got 100 days, man.
So it's really just sort of putting, learning how to let go. Not being, as we were talking earlier, is if you're dealing with customer service, website.
You're wearing a lot of hats.
I'm wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
I want to divest from those hats and be able to put that to someone else. That means an employee. That means, hey, and I don't like the word employee because it bothers me because I want a partner. I want somebody who's going to come in and grind just as hard as me, just, because they see that and they see the potential.
Mm-hmm.
A shop, its own place, when I walked into.
So hiring people in a shop.
Hiring people in a shop and then being able to give back to the community.
Okay.
Doing enough that animal rescue is one of our big ones for us, is being able to roll up to an animal shelter or a no-kill rescue and not only feed the animals, but feed the people. Whether that means we're actually giving them food or thanks.
Yeah.
Is just saying, hey, thank you for what you're doing because you're in the trenches. And then the other one is just inspire the next generation of people who are doing what we do, to step in, to say, you don't have to go this path or this path. This path exists over here because it's there. So
it's not as well treaded, but it's there.
Yeah, it's there. And if you're willing to put the work in, you unlimited rewards for you. So that's kind of one of the big ones for me.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing with us today, man. Did you have anything you got a question for the audience or anything? I mean, if you guys want to check him out, hit up his website. I'll bring it back up one more time. Sawdust and Slingers. This, I'm a customer, and the guy puts a lot of hard work and effort into being the artist that he is, but still working on being a capitalist and building a business. And he's a 20-year military guy. What in the heck? Let's get some orders rolling in. So hit the website. Guys, Christmas is coming up. Thanksgiving is coming up. Lots of stuff that they do. Charcuterie boards, which aren't on the website yet, but I'm sure he's going to get those up before Thanksgiving.
No, it was the big one is every year is to think now is how many days are left till Christmas.
Yeah.
It's there before everybody knows it. So start early, even if it's not with me, but there's another maker out there who's doing this. They're going to give their time and energy towards the end of this year. Get them to them now so they can plan to make sure they get you the best that they can do. And if that's us, I'd love the opportunity. We have a goal of doing 2,000 Christmas ornaments this year. It's a tall order. If you try to do 2,000 starting in October, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be a lot more hair up here. It's going to be a stressful time to in that goal. So start now looking at those things because, if you're looking at a large organization and you want to give to your clients, your customers, your family, a one-off custom Christmas ornament, look me up and we'll talk and we'll get it going.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Not a problem.
I'm going to respond to this YouTuber and give him my meeting link if he's watching this long in. We went, did we go an hour? Just about. So I'm going to put my link up for him on the reply, if I can do this quickly. And then he can schedule a call and we can talk about Autobroker stuff. But it's all about you today. We'll talk about Autobroker some other time. Meeting links. Hang on a second. Here we go. So I'll put the response in here. There you go. So if you'd like to, oops. There you go. There you go. So if you want to chat with me, GDTV, hit me up. We'll talk about Autobroker stuff. Guys, thank you so much. Check out Sawdust and Slingers. If you'd like to be on the podcast so we could discuss your entrepreneur journey, please drop it in the comments or DM me and we will get back with you and schedule it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate having you, bud. I was looking forward to this one.
Yeah. It's
100 days.
It's real.
All right, guys. Have a good day.